Hello and good evening. Welcome back to All Roads Lead to Rome. This is episode 47. Carthage is a cage. It's a Vampire the Masquerade Dark Ages game with mature content. So we hope everyone enjoys what they're about to listen to. Have a great evening. Okay, guys, welcome back. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when we left off, we had been sailing across the open sea straight from Greece, headed for attempting to shoot south of Sicily. And right when I ended last session, we had ended up rolling a botch, and I told you guys that when you woke up, you were going to be surrounded by a couple of Carthaginian ships. Does that sound familiar?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, you guys wake up. And
Question.
yes.
When it's clear that we're surrounded, will anyone remove the stay?
Will anyone what?
Because last session, I voluntarily got staked to prevent,
I mean, probably the point when we opened the
falling into frenzy on the middle of a ship.
probably at the point when we see a Carthaginian guy telling us some stuff, probably one of us went back in the room, took out the stake, so it shouldn't be much problem.
It makes sense. I mean, by this time you should probably be cooled off, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, the thing is, I'm just really low on blood. So it's like I'm at the point where, just smelling a sailor getting, like a splinter, like a particularly bad splinter might set me off.
I think they can subdue you, so it shouldn't be much issue. And if they can't, at least you kill some of the Carthaginian soldiers, so it's a win-win.
So the way I understood was that we wake up and we realize we're surrounded. Yeah. Like the reaction time is really narrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But considering what Sybil decided to do,
we'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to that. As far as housekeeping numbers goes, everyone is pretty much assumed to be at the level of blood they were when we ended last session.
And for Nicodemus?
Same, unless you're about to frenzy. Everybody's got all their willpower points back. Should not be any problems there.
I'm not touching my shit, by the way, just so you know.
Yep, it's fine.
So whatever Nicodemus had 2 sessions before?
It's the same right now, yep.
Okay.
Alright, so you guys wake up. And in Hatshepsut's case, her eyes pop open in the cabin of Ihamus, staring at the ceiling. And each of you smells the sharp, coppery tang of fresh blood drifting through your closed doors. Somebody's moving around out there. You open up your cabin doors, and it's a single sailor.
And either there was a massacre or someone really messed up playing that knife finger game.
He's been severely beaten. His face is very bloody. His eyes are swelling shut. You can see a few of his teeth have been knocked out. There's even bald patches where his hair has been physically ripped from his skull, and you can see the blood is oozing up from it. As one of you guys comes into view, he stumbles up to you and grabs onto you, and just like kind of sags. And he starts kind of chattering at you. He goes, "It's up on the deck. It's Carthage. They've taken the ship. They told me they swear to treat you well and give you leniency if you surrender. They're going to take you to Carthage, and if you swear not to fight back, they'll treat you very well. They say they know who and what you are and that all considerations have been made.
How many?
Two warships. They have our vessel tied up between them, and their men wait on the deck.
Nicodemus's face opens agape and he stares at the man. What happened to the man? Was they slaughtered or are they in custody?
They have them tied up. Some of them are on their war vessels, and some of them are on the surface. It went down almost without a fight. We were too overwhelmed.
Have these Carthaginians done anything unnatural?
Oh, besides beat the shit out of us? Not really.
They don't need to.
It appears that we don't exactly have much option in this.
What do you suggest? We give in
We
then?
have, we have to play nicely. They know what we are. They know how to prevent our escape. Besides, we're in the middle of the ocean.
May I speak with you, Nicodemus? Can I have a few words with you before we go above the deck?
What?
You see, I want you to take care of my ghoul. And I want you to take this bowl we found in the cave. And I want you to, when you guys go to Carthage, I want you to find this guy. Now I have to find the name, shit. Menelaus. Yes, take this bowl we found from the cave. And when you go to Carthage, find the guy called Menelaus. And do not forget to take care of my ghoul. Feed it.
What do you tend to do?
Wait.
This is madness. We're in the middle of the ocean.
You shall see what I will do if I survive.
Menelaus is in, like, of the war?
The brewer, Menelaus. He knows what's the deal with that magic. It's something about witches. But there's no time to waste. We have to act first. I will do something great dangerous.
It hasn't been a fortnight when you suggested that we should go to Carthage, and now you want to flee into the depths of waves?
This is under the situation we are in is not the one I want, not the way I want to go to Carthage. I thought it will be
the net result would have been the same if we went under the presumptions that we are here to visit. We would be captured all the same.
Well, it doesn't matter. I decided you guys will be fine. And if I do not survive, at least I can tell that it was a great adventure. To whatever is beyond that.
This is insane, but have it your way. We shall manage. Now, Nicodemus looks to the man. Hold still. And Nicodemus will attempt to treat his wounds.
He kind of flinches, like, ow, ow! You know, because he's actually in serious pain. As you examine his body, he's got some broken ribs. Bruising is severe all over his body. They haven't broken anything vital. So if he was left alone to heal, he would be fine eventually.
Nicodemus would probably have some herbs for the pain, and he'd probably make some provisional bandages to just stop the infection and prevent any blood loss. Does it seem like this man could be fed from just a little bit to give Hatshepsut a
Yeah.
little bit of sustenance?
You could
Or is it
probably
too
take
risky?
one from him and he'd be okay.
But the question would be,
It's probably too risky.
yeah, and would we be able to stop? Would I be able to stop myself at one? I say, Hat is just gonna like when it looks
risky.
like, when it looks like everyone's ready, Hat is just gonna start heading upstairs,
Okay.
muttering to herself, wondering if Achilles was also in Bray.
Abner is going to follow upstairs with her, hoping that they keep up to the.
It is a wager, but Nicodemus follows as well.
All right.
He doesn't try to obfuscate or anything. But he keeps an eye for any of the mortal crew that they were traveling with, in case anyone requires medical assistance.
The Sybil goes after you, and then the sailor, and then last Ihamus. Sybil, as you guys climb, Sybil uses her obfuscate powers. She hides herself from sight. When you reach the deck, you see the night is clear and pristine. The ship is floating, tied to a pair of Quinquereme warships, flying the Carthaginian flag. There are two figures that greatly stand out on top of the deck. They radiate a supernatural aura of power and authority. Nearby to them are two other men who also have an air of authority, but not to as significant an extent. You realize you're probably looking at the day shift and night shift captains of the ship.
Of the enemy ship?
Yes. So you can see several members of your own vessel tied up on the Carthaginian ships. Some have been tied near the rail of your vessel, so on your own deck, near the railings. Your own captain is nowhere to be seen. You don't know where he's at. You look around, and other than what has been described and the warmen on board the vessels, there's open water. There's no sight of land anywhere. There's not even any seabirds around to fill the air with some noise. So you're all brought before the group, and one of the men steps forward. Who speaks Phoenician?
Abner does.
Nicodemus does.
Let's see, spoken languages. Not on this character's list of spoken languages, I believe. So yeah,
Okay. That actually surprises me quite a bit.
yeah. She's got Numidian.
So you don't know what he's saying, but Nicodemus and Albina do. And if I remember right, neither does Sybil. However, you don't know where Sybil's at. She used her powers, and she is nowhere to be seen. So one of the men steps up, and he says, "Greetings, Romans. I am Taba of the Bruja, captain of the vessel Hadar. My fellow captain of the night is Mubash of the La Sombra, and he holds command of the Black Wave. The men behind us hold command during the day. Have you decided to accept our conditions, or shall we commence with destroying you?"
Abner replies in Latin. In Abner of Samba, I believe you are already aware of that. Your terms has been made clear by one of our sailors, and I believe we have come to the agreement that we accept them. She looks over to the others to see if they agree with her.
Hat simply nods.
Nicodemus nods, but he asks as well, in Latin to keep with the terms. What will happen to our men? And he inclines the bunch of sailors that are currently bound.
They will be put to the best use we can find for them, especially your captain. He will live to see Carthage.
Will they be treated fairly?
As fairly as we can.
Nicodemus nods. This is probably the best answer he can get.
So he looks behind him and snaps his fingers. And one of the men comes up and gives him a rolled up list. And he looks and he's reading through it. And he says, he looks at and Ham steps forward and says, I am Ihamus, and he speaks in Phoenician. I agree to your terms. And then he repeats that in Latin, so you all understand as well. So, let's see. I'm taking you all to Carthage. You shall see Moloch, Baal, Hadad, and Yam Nahar for judgment. Now, where is... I believe you had a Salubri warrior with your group? Where is he?
He
No longer
Herod.
travels with us.
Hmm.
That's too bad. Last, we had word that there was a Nosferatu traveling with you. Where is your Nosferatu?
Not longer traveling with us.
That's actually not alive.
That's going to be a manipulation subterfuge roll.
Oh, actually, no. That's a bad wording. Actually, what Nicodemus wanted to say, she's not with us, so that he's not technically lying.
Okay. Manipulation subterfuge roll. Your difficulty is going to be 5. And he's going to be rolling wits plus empathy.
Manipulation plus subterfuge. Okay.
Wow. Very nice. Okay, he appears to believe you. Albina, roll a perception plus occult roll. Or perception plus awareness, whichever's better.
That is the occult roll.
Okay, that's fine. You got, it's gonna be diff 5, so you got 3 successes. You see a shadow depart, like moves unnaturally and departs, and begins to scour, like slip through cracks. You lose sight of it. The Bruja appears to have believed him, but the La Sombra's not quite so convinced.
And that shadow is the La Sombra transforming to the shadow, or
It's
is the La Sombra not?
it's moving on its own.
Oh, okay.
So
So it's not the La Sombra himself.
no, it's not the La Sombra himself, but it literally is Shadow doing it. So you can infer that he had something to do with it.
Yeah.
All right, so we are going to leave you on your own vessel. We are going to begin towing you. We will be leaving 2 crew members on your vessel per night to sate your hunger as needed. And in the meantime, he gestures, and all the men on your vessel, and then these sail with a crew of about 25. And there's about 7 or 8 men tied up on your ship. Some of the warriors come up, grab hold of them, they take a knife, and they slice a cut across their back, and then they kick them overboard. They were a waste of flesh, And you hear the men hit the water, splash! Kind of fishtail up, screaming. They have just condemned them to a terrible death. They're either going to drown or get eaten.
Nicodemus grimaces, but he keeps his mouth shut.
Slaves are more useful to bodies, unless of course you count the Cappadocian among your members.
Let it serve as an object lesson. I believe the other men understand that. In any case, we shall be underway shortly. You are free to return to your cabins where you will remain unmolested. Should any of the Carthaginian sailors bother you, you are free to speak to me and voice your concerns, and I will personally rip their heads off. Have a pleasant evening. And one of the men comes up and indicates, obviously, that you are... it is implied that you are not voluntarily being told to go to your cabin. You are being voluntold.
She's going to ask, this man that you put in on our ship, do they speak Latin?
Oh, no, there will be none of my men sailing on your vessel. They are simply going to tie it up and begin towing it.
Okay, I thought that they said that they're going to put some sailors on our ship. Okay.
Literally
No,
just enough to
the
help keep
two
it from
men for
crashing.
feeding.
So one or two guys.
How long is the journey going to take?
I estimate 3 to 4 full turns of the sky. So they
Well.
basically sweep the deck clear. They leave 2 sailors from your original crew on board. And again, these men exhibit the signs of having been beaten. They essentially throw them underneath the deck, not really caring if they break a bone on their way down. And then once you get underneath, they shut the hatch. They do not lock it. It is just shut. And you can hear the sound of activity as they begin throwing ropes and hauling up the anchor and making preparations to begin being towed.
Well then.
This seems like a pleasant way to start an evening, Nicodemus says, and he goes to look through the sailors and see if anyone needs any help.
Again, they've both been beaten quite badly. Hatshepsut, you are going to need a self-control roll at difficulty 5 to avoid falling on one and feeding to satiation.
Oh boy.
Oh shit!
The first roll, no, not the first of it. It's already made.
Difficulty, sorry?
5. This is an extended roll where you need 5 successes to suppress it for the night. Yeah, so Hatshepsut, as you go, that's it.
Yeah.
For the first couple of hours, she seems really edgy. Paces back and
Okay.
forth.
Okay. Can Nicodemus, after he does something, he does his rounds of helping the people. How long is that going to take him?
Well, it's a couple hours. You guys, you spend... Nicodemus is patching them up, binding their wounds, putting bandages on the ribs to help stiffen them up.
Because eventually we need to find a solution to Hatshepsut's problem, and she
And,
needs to feed, right?
And you guys all gather in the little common space. Hatshepsut, she's like a caged animal, just back and forth, pacing. And
I'm
she
going
finally
to-
turns around. She goes,
Okay.
"I can't take this anymore. I need it.
You have
I
to feed
have to have it." And you can
Okay.
see her
Why
face
don't you-
begins to morph. She gets ugly. The Gorgon is beginning to come out. She's not in frenzy, but she's
Okay.
decided, I'm doing this.
Nicodemus
I'll be-
wants to use peaceful touch on her
Okay?
to prevent to help with the frenzy, and then we're going to try and find some suitable candidate.
Okay. That sounds great. I believe there's a role for that, even if she is willing.
Yeah.
So,
Let
Go
me,
ahead.
Let me find it real quick.
Yep.
Peaceful touch is spend a blood point and a willpower point and touch a foe hostile to him.
Whoa, both willpower and blood. Yeah, that's costly.
Is that anger? She sees. No roll. So I just spent willpower and blood point, and Hatshepsut gets a -2 to frenzy difficulty.
Is there a limit to difficulty lower them? Like minimum, maximum 3 or something?
It doesn't stack, but it only lasts for 3 turns. So after we do this, we
You
get
better run.
the healthiest looking sailor and toss it to Hatshepsut with special care to see if the signs of frenzy are there.
if you do this for her, she will be able to take one from each person without making any kind of effort. So,
That's the goal.
Yep, that's the goal.
Very controlled like.
Alright, so. And because of my weakness, that is reduced to 1. Oh boy.
Albina is going to offer herself to Hatshepsut.
How many blood points do you have?
And I'm nearly full. I
Just
got
take all of it.
I got about around 28.
I'll take 4, thank you.
Go
And
for the 28.
I will note down the level 1 bomb.
Wait, is there now? Is there going to be hunger frenzy for tasting a vampire blood while having so many low blood points?
No, I'm going to just kind of hand wave the roll. Nicodemus touches her, uses peaceful touch.
Okay, I was just curious
She
if we are
suppresses
going
the vampire's beast, and she feels calm and peace wash over her, and she can far more easily take her fangs and feed on Albina, taking directly from the vein. Of course, Albina feels the pleasure of the kiss wash over her. She doesn't want it to end, and neither does Hatshepsut. But thanks to Nicodemus's efforts, Hatshepsut reluctantly pulls away, seals it, and makes sure there's absolutely been nothing left. She missed not a single drop.
Nicodemus.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm not there.
Albina is also going to, after that, she's going to go, I help taking care of the sailors, not medically because she has no skills around in medicine, but she's going to try to, comfort, try to take care of the emotional state.
Even arouse them?
No,
Okay.
Like through prayer and stuff.
yes.
I see.
Give them comfort, try to tell them that they're going to be okay, stuff like that.
It's just a flesh wound.
Eventually, they do go to sleep. They've been awake most of the day. They go to sleep in the pile of ropes and spare sail underneath. Even fear just can only keep you awake for so long. And with everybody binding their wounds and comforting them, telling them it's going to be okay, eventually they can no longer hold out and they do fall asleep. The next night, somebody knocks on the hatch and another sailor is shoved down, and when he is able to talk from having the wind knocked out of him, he says that the Carthaginians would like to see you on board the deck.
All right. Let's go then.
Yeah, Nicodemus follows.
And
So-
before we go up,
so-
I look over to Hatshepsut and say, "The La Sombra did not believe the tale about Sibu.
Hmm.
Just warning her that they are not completely in the clear about that."
We will
How do you
have
know?
to.
I felt it. I could notice him. He went around trying to shine some shadows to search the ship.
Well, we will have to see what happens.
You get up on board the deck. Everything looks fine. There's no preparations to slaughter everybody. But there is a small fishing vessel floating near the Quin Kareem. You can see it. Sybil, when the sun set, you opened your eyes, covered in stinking, rotting fish. And just as you were starting to shake off the slumber, a pair of ropes slip over your head and draw tight across your neck. And you instantly grab hold of them, like trying to fight that reflex and yank the ropes off. And they begin hauling you out of the pit on the ship by these ropes. So they're literally like hauling you up by these ropes, dragging you up out of the hold. It's
Is this hurting?
it's uncomfortable. It's not inflicting damage. If you've ever seen Lord of the Rings and Frodo and Sam are trying to tie up Gollum, that's quite a bit what it's like here. Sybil is strong. She's flexible. She's fishtailing and bucking and trying to rip the ropes off. And these men, pretty strong guys, are hauling her up and out, struggling to get her up. And they finally haul her up out. And there's just enough light for her to see that they have these ropes threaded through a hollow pole. And they grab these poles and they use it to force her to the ground. And so she can't actually reach them. All she can do is kind of flail. And all of you guys on board the deck can see this. You can see that these men have Sybil pinned to the ground on board their vessel. Tava comes up and he says, I am very sorry, but it would appear your Nosferatu attempted to escape, and therefore cannot be trusted.
So everything was for nothing? I'm going to cut my throat.
So we are going to have her locked in a cage and brought on board your vessel. I expect that the Nosferatu will stay there. At least, the Nosferatu will be there when we reach Carthage. Am I understood?
Yes.
Perfectly.
Perfect.
Good. So they bring out this wooden cage, and they use the ropes and these poles, and they force her into it. So no matter how much she scrabbles and tries to get out of it, enough men come up, and they eventually get her shoved into the cage. The door is slammed on her, and the cage is hauled up and dropped into the hold of your vessel. Sybil, as soon as you are out of sight, you realize everything except your head can fit through these bars. They did
Sorry,
not
what?
count on your flexibility. So it's going to scrape some skin off, but if you could escape from this cage, you're just going to have to sacrifice a little bit of skin on your head.
Okay. I'm down on the road, man. I will do that.
So
I'm already at the bottom.
they say, that will be all. Thank you for your time.
Pleasant evening.
Agna curtsies as she steps back to the hold.
Cat gives, a polite bow.
Nicodemus
Mm,
stands in front of Sybil and...
Wait, I'm out of the cage, I believe.
Yeah. As soon as Sybil was
Are
out
you
of
out
sight,
of the
she
cage?
basically popped herself out of the cage and just, hey, I'm ready.
Wait, what am I going to do? Yeah, I would consider what I'm going to do. After getting out of the cage. Is it night?
It is night.
Okay.
Sybil,
Okay.
I have a request to you. Can you oblige? Can you...
I think, wait, can you wait a little bit? I'm still out of the cage, but not arrived at you guys. I'm thinking,
No, you are.
considering what I'm doing.
Everybody's under the deck. You're all together.
Oh, I went there. Okay.
Can you go back to the cage?
No, fuck no. You know what I have experienced? Oh, wait, this song is a little too loud.
I don't know what you have experienced, and I'd love to hear it one time, but this Bruhai there made himself clear. It falls to all of us that you're back in the cage. Because if you're that, this is going to end in a slaughter. Do you understand?
I don't care. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to wait till night, when our slumber times comes, and I will try to keep myself awake, and I'm going to sneak that fucking room, and I'm going to suck my tits into that creature's neck. I
That's not
sacrificed something great for myself, and it's been for nothing. Now I'm telling to that fucking son who did this to me. I am also going to find that motherfucker. But first I have to deal with these fucking Carthagians.
No.
that's not going
What
to work.
exactly has happened?
Well, there was a sound. I accepted the offer of the sound, and this happened. Either case, friends. See you, hopefully. I actually want to go somewhere where there's a cover and open up this gate so they won't stop me from doing anything.
You can do that. Nobody's got the auspex to see through your obfuscates. All you have to do is duck around a pile of gear, and you're done. You have enough time.
Yep.
Nicodemus, as soon
I'm
as
going to
Sybil
the-
is trying to... Okay, so as soon as Sybil is going to start and try thinking about, Nicodemus would like to try and take her.
Okay. That's going to be
Yeah.
So like...
This is
more
a surprise
like,
attack.
Yeah, surprise attack.
Dexterity plus melee, difficulty 9.
Yeah, I would now also like to try to hold her down.
All right. So Nicodemus first. Dexterity plus
kind
melee,
of
diff
buff
9.
Dexterity by 2 points and dexterity plus melee. What's the difficulty? 6?
9.
9.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Called shot to the heart.
Let's see. Gonna spend the willpower point on that. Oh,
2 successes. That's enough. All right. Roll damage. It's strength plus 5. So it's 6 actually, because 1 extra success. So strength plus 6. Which is strength plus 2 for the stake, plus 3 for the heart. Alright, Sybil, you have no armor. Soak, 3 lethal.
I can't. I have 2 stamina.
You can soak. You might be able to soak 2 of it though.
But
Yeah.
And it needs like 2 successes to stake you, I believe.
Yes, you need more than 1 damage.
Okay.
Okay, nope, you are staked. You turn around, fuck this shit. I'm gonna go beat my fucking gift right out of that motherfucker. And you turn around, and the stake just shoves through your back, straight out your chest. Ha! Boom! And you hit the ground.
Nicodemus lowers his head before Sybil's motionless form, and he speaks. I am sorry, my friend, but your vengeance will have to wait, for it is all our lives that are in the line, and we cannot afford more mistakes. Forgive me. And he pushes and he howls Sybil back into the cage.
Okay. This routine of sailing, and every night they shove one person underneath the deck for you guys to feed on. So right now, down underneath the deck, you have 3 people from which to feed.
So that's in 3 days.
So this continues twice more. So if you did not feed on anybody, there would be 6 people underneath the deck.
Are they forcing me feeding because I'm sick and I have like 9 blood? No, not even 9. I have less than that. I have 7
Yeah,
blood.
we're feeding you.
They're expecting it. They're probably expecting us to kill each prisoner.
I'm staked. If you guys feed me with 10 blood and the guy dies, it was not my doing. So if you guys want to, you can do.
The people who they are sending us to, they're Carthaginians, right?
No, they are the sailors from your ship.
Okay, makes more sense to not kill them, even so. So this is 1 guy per night, right?
Correct.
And each of us needs 1 point of blood to be fashionably sustained at least?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nicodemus pushes to rationalize this resource, and we're pouring, and each of us will drink 1 blood, and we pour 1 blood into Sybil.
Ihamus volunteers to be the one to take the last blood, to feed Sybil, and to be the one on whom the burden of death falls.
I do not.
Hold on. We're drinking 4 blood. We're drinking 5 blood, and this is the man's condition that he will perish after it, right?
Oh yes. If you drink that much for one person, they are definitely dead.
Okay. What about the rest of the guys that are stuck with us below the deck?
They
Can
are
we
in no
somehow
condition to
mitigate?
fight back.
Can we somehow mitigate to use the prisoner and drink from the other guys to not let this man perish? Because even if you think this is like the too kind-hearted thing, the man can still regenerate and provide blood for later date.
Well,
so why kill him if we can spread out between all the other sailors?
Each guy is in pretty bad shape. They'll be okay on 1 blood. They're going to be hurting badly if you take 2. If you take 2 from each person to try to leave them alive, anything else is going to kill them.
That's the intent. We want to take 1 blood each night and preserve as many of our guys as possible.
There's literally not enough blood in a person to do that. They don't regenerate that fast. It takes it takes a week to 2 weeks.
Okay.
And each one takes 1 blood each night. So say like, they throw in 1 guy, you take 1 blood. 1 person take 1 blood. They turn another guy, another person takes 1 blood, stuff like that.
Well, in terms of the math, how soon until you guys begin getting incredibly hungry and start staking each other?
He said 3 months, right?
No, 3 nights.
3 nights.
Yes, Carthage is surprisingly close.
This is hardly anything. I don't think Nicodemus is going to feed for that time then, if it means what's the word? Putting these lives at risk. He can take it.
Yeah, I can also take it. Just barely, but I can take it.
Well, Ihamus is going to feed, and he will feed Hatshepsut and Sybil.
With that taken into account, can we still minimize the life loss?
He is essentially going to kill one person tonight.
Is it because he needs it or he wants it?
He needs a little bit, but mostly he wants to make sure that the other 2 low blood members of the crew don't need to stay staked. He's trying to keep them.
No, that makes sense. If it puts anyone at the risk of frenzy, Nicodemus agrees that unfortunately we need to take lives, but he will try to save the life if he can.
Chances are that the captives are going to be killed once we reach Carthage. They clearly do not care enough about them to enslave them.
But he agrees.
already
He
made
offers to you guys to be the one to take on the burden of death, because he knows it weighs heavily on you to so cold-bloodedly and callously even be discussing rationing somebody's life to sustain your own.
This is most kind. Even though it happens, Nicodemus is not happy, and even though as the light falters, he tries to save them. But ultimately, it fails. And Nicodemus cannot help to shake the feeling of stepping into something completely vile and dehumanizing as they do it.
So what you guys see, if you would both agree to this, what you guys see Ihamus do is he leads each person into his cabin, and he takes a series of bowls and cups, whatever he can find to hold liquid. And he uses his disciplines to mesmerize them so they don't see it coming, and then he just slits their throat real quick. And then what he does is he catches their life as best as he can in all these bowls, spilling as little as possible, and basically spreads it out to everybody. So there is currently 24 blood points underneath the deck to be had between the 3 men.
And between the 3 knights. That's for the 3 knights?
That's for
Or
tonight,
just one?
right now. There's 24 blood points to spread right now.
Looks like an abundance. Who needs it the most? Sybil seems drained, probably, right? And Hatshepsut are the most. They're the most needy.
So what he's going to do is he's going to drink 3 of them, of the first person, and then he's going to take the remaining 5. He's going to give 3 to Hatshepsut and 2 to Sybil. And in Sybil's case, what he does is he basically just sort of pours it and drips it, and even though Sybil's paralyzed, the blood still gets imbibed. Now, if Nicodemus, Labiana, and Albana want to partake, there's 2 other men there, and he will do the same thing for them. He will slaughter one of them.
So how much blood is that?
Yeah, get 2, Sybil. he
Hello,
will
MP.
dispose of one of them.
Hi.
Hey,
Hey,
Sorry,
I love
guys.
you.
no worries. Nicodemus abstains for this night.
I am going to take 3.
okay.
I don't know how much I need yet. I'll just take 2.
All right, and that leaves 3 more to be rationed out between Hatshepsut and Sybil. So he'll give 2 to Hatshepsut and 1 more to Sybil. And then, so this routine continues the next couple of nights. And then finally,
Couple or 3?
yep, 2 more, with a couple more nights, they send a person down. Ihamus voluntarily is the one who spreads their blood out amongst everybody to drink. Again, you may abstain or partake as you wish.
Nicodemus abstains for these nights.
So, approximately 4 days, 4 nights after your capture, the last sailor comes down and he says, the Carthaginians wish to see everybody back on board deck. We have arrived.
Finally. Visibly agitated, and perhaps it was because of the conditions, and perhaps it was simply boredom.
Abner makes her way up without a word.
When you come on board, what you see before you is almost awe-inspiring. The walls of the city are passing by you. You can see the 2 Quinqueremes towing you in. Before you is a circular harbor of thick stone. There are dozens of warships parked outside of it. The smell of a large city, you can smell it. You all know the smell. Human industry and human waste flowing to the water. They tow you through the opening of the harbor, and you can see thick, huge chains that can be raised up to block off harbor access. They tow you to a dock, and the Bruja and La Sombra come on board. And they have everybody brought up in front of them, including the Nosferatu in the cage. A tendril of shadow reaches out, holds down the Nosferatu, and then pops the stake out of her chest. Then you guys see the shadows flex, and the cage begins to pop apart. The joints begin to snap and shatter. And the cage falls apart, leaving the Nosferatu free to stand up. And they stand there, they say, welcome to Carthage. Or as you say, Carthage. Again, still speaking Phoenician. We are taking you to the Tophet, our place of sacrifice and worship, to meet Moloch, Baal Hadad, and Yom Namor. Please do not attempt to escape, or we shall be forced to punish you again.
I believe the deal was struck. We are people of our words, and we shall not attempt to flee.
They lead you through the hallways, if everybody's following. There's men everywhere. The stink of sweat just invades your nostrils. Oil, smoke, meat, wine, you can smell it all. It's despite everything, it's not Rome, but it's good to be back in a big city. Especially the pulsing veins and heartbeats of everyone around you. You can almost smell the vital vitae through their veins. They lead you out into the streets, and you notice immediately Rome is crowded. The streets are narrow. They twist, they turn, they dip into the sidewalk, and they go underground, and they come back up. Carthage is nothing like that. The streets are straight, square. The buildings are almost all stone. A good rain, and it would probably be white if it could wash off the smoke. They lead you up a hill to a temple, and the temple is shaped much like a Mayan building with the steps in a square pattern going up. They lead you about halfway up, and they go into a little, around a little side crack that you can't really see from the ground, and it leads into the temple. And you get halfway up inside the pyramid, and they kind of like tug you guys down by your arms to indicate you should go to your knees, and they go to their knees.
You might be cutting out.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Server. Changing servers. Change to Western Europe. Save. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they lead you up a multi-step temple. Very much what you might think a Mayan pyramid looks like now. About halfway up, there's a concealed opening, and they lead you into it. And it goes inside through a couple of passages. And there's a man there, and he's shaved bald. He's not impressively good looking. He's appearance 2 or 3, nothing serious or impressive. But every time you try to look somewhere else, you inevitably, inexorably, your gaze is almost drugged back to him. You just, it's so hard to look away. And he's doing some sort of ritual, and you see him take a goat, and he slices the goat's neck, and the blood pours into a hole in the ground and drains out.
What kind of ritual is it?
Some
it
sort of
be-
religious ceremony. He is chanting to Baal Haman, the Lord of Fire and Burning. And he completes the ceremony. The goat is taken away by a pair of men who come in and grab the goat and take it away, presumably to be butchered and then eaten. He puts the knife away, and he stands up to talk to all of you. And he speaks in Phoenician. Do all of you understand me?
Not everyone.
No?
Nicodemus replies in Phoenician.
And he switches to Latin. Do all of you speak Latin?
Yes.
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 Good.
Nicodemus nods.
I do not wish to be rude. Thank you for not giving our men too much trouble. Please come and sit inside the inner sanctum. He leads you deeper in. Hatchet only. Perception plus awareness. Difficulty 6.
Oh boy.
Very nice. You notice this this temple, and especially as you get deeper inside, is very heavily warded. There is magic symbols all over the place. He invites you all to sit down on some cushions, and he arranges his robes and he sits down, his back perfectly straight. And again, you realize as much as you want to look around, every time you look at a wall or you go to look at something, it's only a few moments and you just cannot look away from this man. You just gaze just drawn right back to him. And somehow he pulls off this trick where every time you look at him, it looks like he's looking you in the eyes, no matter who he's speaking to. It's a very neat trick. I am Moloch Bal Hadad. The priests of this city are within my domain. The religion and health of their souls is a topic I take very seriously. I invite you to talk with me and ask me any questions. I will not promise you answers. You are guests of war here. But I also promise that we will not harm you unless you bring it on yourselves.
Nicodemus would like to ask a few questions through Sense Cycle.
Do go on.
I think Vorpal was saying he wants to use the power.
Yep.
Perception plus enigmas. Stupid window. Oh man, no successes.
So what you're getting is what you would normally sense through Sense Cycle. So, as you look at this man and you focus, you realize you're getting a vision of when you try to sense the fates, you see it's almost like a spider's web that you see stretching into the past and the future. And in Carthage, that web is a thick, thick ball. It's a Gordian's knot. And you see this man plucking various strings of this knot. And those plucks reverberate thousands of years into the future. Your ability also tells you that he is not hostile to you.
Why do you need to antagonize a pawn if you can use it?
So, you have questions. Ask them.
Have you been
How
the one
long-
that...
Sorry, go
Sorry?
ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. You go.
It seemed like you were the first, but what can we expect here while we are the prisoners of war? Obviously, this process can take quite a bit given the current state of affairs, but
You will
what
be
are the
placed
conditions
on
that we're
house arrest.
Okay.
There is an estate some distance outside the city. In fact, we have a Childa of Hakim there named Golzar Shadi, who was also a guest of the city, of the same status. Periodically, we will bring you into the city to help alleviate boredom, allow you to interview people, seek out book knowledge. We hope you understand, we are not the villains that your first citizen makes us out to be.
Are we to understand that we'll be given free reign to explore Carthage? Well, not free reign per se, but an ample field of liberty to explore and learn about this wondrous city of yours?
Quite That is quite true. You will be, as I said, under a house arrest style, and every few months we shall bring a couple of you into the city to explore and talk. And then a few nights later, we'll bring you back to the estate and allow you to contemplate what has happened. If
Have
we
you
wish
been
to
to-
imprison you, we would simply stake you. That we are not monsters here.
Of course. Will we be also able to speak and converse with more of our kind? To exchange the views on various subjects.
Any who wish to travel to your estate are free to do so. We will, of course, expect you not to leave it. However, I do understand that there are many healers here who would be interested in visiting one of your clan. There are many diplomats who would like to speak. And of course, we have our share of fighters and religious people. So I am sure there will be plenty to occupy all of you.
It's almost it seems almost like you expected all the matter of people to suddenly flock into this little attraction that we show ourselves to be.
You have chosen some strong terminology. There will be many nights where you feel bored, where you feel that the oppressive weight of loneliness and repetition pressing on you. I assure you that the visitors, it will be a big deal when they show up, but we're not going to parade you around like animals at some festival, if that's your concern.
No, it's not. I fully expect you to show the best sides of hospitality.
Excuse me, I have a question, and I tell it in my homeland language, not in Greek or anything.
Okay?
I'm going to call it Russian. I know it's not called that, but it's much easier. So, excuse me, I have a question.
He turns to look at you, gazing, again, pulling off that trick where it looks like he's looking at everybody at once.
Mm-hmm. Does it answer back?
He looks at you. What do you say? What do you do?
Are you the sound I heard 5 nights ago?
We're gonna see if he can understand that. This is gonna be diff 8. He speaks to you in Latin. I am having trouble understanding your question. If I am correct, you want to know if I somehow spoke to you several nights ago?
Yes.
I'm afraid I did not.
Okay. So, when are we going back to Rome?
You can go back when Rome ceases its aggression and a appropriate recompense is paid.
Okay. Can I instead go back to my homeland, which is not Rome?
I'm afraid not. We cannot allow you to leave.
Are you going to give us money?
No.
Okay, continue.
Have you been the one that orchestrated the capture?
I wish I could take such credit, but no, I did not orchestrate the strategy or your
May I
capture.
ask who it was? May I ask who it was?
The strategy behind the war is orchestrated by a pair of kindred who claim trade, sea routes, and war as their domain. That is the domain of Lotan, who is a Childa of Troila, or you may hear Troila called Tonnet. And that is also the domain of Dagon and Atherot. So Lotan, Dagon, and Atherot.
She nods.
At the risk of prying too deeply, I couldn't help but notice some of the symbols on the walls as I came in. Am I to take it that many among this city are skilled in the arts of mysticism?
There are several who have dabbled in the arts. Menelaus springs to mind. He had many years of such study amongst the mystics dedicated to the goddess of fertility. I too have studied such arts as best as I could.
May I speak again? But this time I speak in Greek.
He again just looks at you.
Now that you mentioned Menelaus, in the name of Shalmat, may I spoke with him?
I'm afraid he is not within the city. He is busy doing some diplomatic missions for us.
When will he come back?
I could not tell you. I wish I could.
Okay.
These states you mentioned where will be held. You'll all be together in the same state? We'll be sharing a state, or will there be a state for each of us? And if
You
so,
will all
we
be
are
on the
going
same
to
estate.
Okay.
Have no fear. It is quite large. There will be privacy.
Will I be free to worship my god?
Within the bounds of your captivity, yes.
That is all I ask.
Have you any more questions?
No, can we go and see our place now?
I believe that's all your question.
No more questions from me. No.
Good. Then I have two more things to say. Our city was founded to succeed and better the legacy of our forefathers. Here in the city, Cainites and Kine dwell openly alongside each other. We help each other. All that you see was established as a partnership. If you are hungry, politely ask. And 9 times out of 10, a person will allow you to feed off of them. Gently,
And at one
carefully. And if they refuse, you will not press the issue. Perhaps they have their reasons. Maybe they're sick. Perhaps they were just fed on recently, or they are too weak.
Nicodemus observes this man very closely, trying to gauge whether this is an empty boast or an actual valid claim that he believes it in.
Um, everything that you hear indicates that he is telling the absolute truth.
Would the details about human sacrifices in Carthage be already known in Rome?
Yes, they would spread such
So,
tales.
so yeah,
Yes,
she should
humans have been sacrificed. That is, unfortunately, a result of poor education and some Canaanites taking advantage of the bargain. You may rest assured those Canaanites were dealt with permanently. Humans are not required to kill themselves for us or sacrifice. They do it because they have seen the benefits of it. What human can pick up a huge block of stone and use it to build a home in a single night? And yet, you see the city as you were coming in here from the harbor. It's all stone. We don't have to worry about fire burning down and destroying the lives of our citizens. We too have indoor plumbing like Rome. We have gardens in the city, green spaces. The people here thrive, and they do so knowing that we are here to help them and protect them just as they help and protect us.
Got
I
clear?
have a question.
Sorry, go ahead.
I have a question, in fact, if you will. Um, can you refresh my memory? How does your government look like? Do you have oh, this is probably a very bad word. Do you have a senate, a council,
Our king is democratically elected. However, he serves until his death.
Who's the king?
He says whatever. It's Hamilcar something. Whatever. Doesn't matter.
Who is it like every citizen can vote?
You have, in order to vote, you have to hold enough wealth to qualify.
Do mortals vote?
Yes.
They vote full knowingly that their king will
No,
be.
they vote for the
eternal?
mortal king.
Oh.
If
And,
you're asking about our
So if
kindred government, the Canaanite government, our prince, our first citizen, if you will, to use your Latin term, is a Childa of Troila called Hamilcar the Pale, actually a grand Childa of Troila.
you have a kindred government and mortal government, that
Yes, we
nearly
do.
sounds like something in Rome. Why do you need such separation if all this partnership? No, don't take it as I'm trying to instigate something, but I'm trying to understand the intricacies.
Because unfortunately, we do still sleep during the day.
Cannot this be somehow accommodated into common government?
This is the way we have accommodated it.
To have sort of night watch and day watch separated into different governments. What happens
Not
if those
not
two
in so many
overlap?
words. Hamilcar the Pale rules with absolute authority over the Canaanite inhabitants of this city. He has a council of advisors who help give him advice over the various domains, such as Dagon and Atharat of sea trade and water, Reshep, who has domain over herbs and healing, Markad, whose domain is art and dance, Yom Nahar, whose domain is judgment, and Lotan, whose domain is war and the military. Of course, my domain is the priesthood, and the founder of the Bruja, Troila, rules as the most senior of advisors to Hamilcar the Pale.
How to work out any overlapping problems with human government?
Via discussion.
And in times of crisis, who calls the shots?
We allow the human government to call the shots. With our learned advice, of course.
So Hannibal's progress is human idea, right? Mortal idea.
Understand that we are not the aggressor here.
No,
Rome is
you
the
make this-
aggressor.
No, I'm not saying this. I'm trying to see the picture, because don't take this as negative criticism, but so far that it seems that you have this idea that you're working in concert, in harmony, but somehow you have separate governments, and rather than unified government that has its kindred and mortal representatives, and I somehow fail to see how these could mesh together seamlessly. And now you're saying
No one ever
this-
claimed it was seamless and without issue, but that's what partnership is all about. And please go on. Ask.
I was just going to say, I believe we'll need more time. I think we'll need time to process all of this before we can really ask any more questions with appropriately.
You're right, Hatshepsut. This is probably me stepping out of the line for the sake of curiosity, to bombard you with so many questions.
Yes.
How should we
Yeah.
how should we title you?
As Moloch Baal Hadad.
Very well, kind host.
That was a hunger, friends, self-control role.
Okay. As you guys are all sitting there, Sybil just snaps. She just gets up. She goes to fly. She gets about halfway across the distance, heading for Moloch. And
Because I have 10 blood in my system.
Nicodemus does everything
Well-
to not flinch, spending willpower if he has to.
as Sybil just breaks, just leaps over at Moloch, a figure that none of you had seen just appears, just is there. He is as black as Azif was at the council. Simply catches Sybil with one arm. Easily pins her to the ground. He moves faster and with like pouring water. Just with a grace impossible to replicate.
As I was saying, Nicodemus says, I apologize for all these questions upon our first meeting, but I cannot help to be fascinated by the concept, and there will be more coming from me as time passes.
Abner covers her face with her hair in shame as she watches Sybil trying to attack him. After she sees that everything has calmed down, she asks the last question. What clans make their home in...
Ask that one again, please.
What clans make their home in this city?
Well, Bruja primarily, but Canaanites of all clans are welcome here. There are many Lasombra. There are Childa of Hakim, and he gestures to the man. And the guy looks at all of you and he says, I am Yom Namur, Master of Judgment here in Carthage. Do you all walk in the ways of the Dark Father? And again, he's saying all this with Sybil just pinned down.
What does he mean by that? Nicodemus ponders. Walk in the ways of the Dark Father. Is that an euphemism for something, or he refers to a specific path of...
That's going to be a intelligence plus occult roll. This is Canite lore, is what you're contemplating here.
Do we all make this roll or just him?
Anyone who's wants to figure it out.
Oh. That's no
Well,
success.
it's not a botch, though. So, Albina, especially, he is asking, do you follow the traditions as Cain wrote them? Do you follow the laws of Cain?
Do you know what are the laws of Cain?
The interpretation in this time is the 6 traditions.
The 6 traditions have been not showing who you are to humanity, not
Right.
drinking each
With-
other, stuff like that.
Obviously, with the exception of the silence of the blood, because that is not a concern here.
She nods, yes.
He looks at all of you, and you kind of instinctively all shiver as you can tell he's peering into your souls. Once Sybil's calmed down, he releases her and says to you, will you all listen to this master, to the master of this region and society? Will you obey his rules and traditions?
So long
We are
as
guests. Oh, sorry.
so long as we are guests in his domain.
The rules-
Be right back.
Hospitality is given, and it shall be repaid in kind. We shall not attempt to flee. We shall respect your laws. At least, I shall do so.
Yes, same with me.
It would appear we have no choice.
For ultimately, we are not monsters either. We cannot conduct ourselves, and it would be just simply rude to break anything.
He looks at Sybil, waiting on an answer, yes or no.
I just need food, that's it.
Will I take that as a yes?
You can take it as whatever you like to. I mean,
I will take it as a no unless you give me a straight answer.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Okay. Okay means yes. If you do not know it.
Good. Understand. I want to make this clear. If you cross the line, if you put one finger out of place, I will be waiting for you. And I will use your blood to satisfy the eldest of my clan.
Who's elders of your clan?
The last sensation your soul feels will be the wail of sorrow and joy as you go to strengthen the clan of Law. That's another occult roll. Canite lore.
Oh, jeez, let's fuck that up.
Alright. Albina, Sybil, you both realize he's talking about the Assamites, the Childa of Hakim. Labiana, you recall your sire telling you at one point that in the most ancient times, the Assamites were the clan of judgment and law. They were the police. They were judge, jury, and executioner.
Well, that was the most emo intimidation I have heard, but okay.
So, Moloch gets up. Please, everyone, stand. We will be walking out to some carts, and you will be taken to the estate.
Abner gets up and waits for him to guide them to the car.
Right. There are many people around as you walk through the streets. You all see Moloch stop at least one person, and he asks them very gently if he may partake of the gift of their blood. And they agree, and he carefully drinks from their neck and lets them sit down, and afterwards thanks them for the gift of their vitality. And he does this in the open in the street. And then continues to walk.
Abner carefully watches around, seeing how people react, if at all.
There's a number of reactions. Some people just ignore it. On a couple of faces, you swear you see a flash of jealousy. But
Nicodemus tries
nobody screams or has any kind of weird reaction.
What about disgust while I am sitting there with my open Nosferatu face?
Yeah, there's nobody's. There's obviously expressions of disgust and discomfort, but nobody is screaming and running away in terror either.
Nicodemus tries to catch up with Moloch Baal, and he asks him, "How do you deal in terms of hunger-related frenzy? Has this been a scour upon the populace at any time?"
It was once, many years ago. We have developed since then. The worst of it was when the young would attempt to fight and power their canite gifts of speed, power, and fortitude. However, we have since managed to work on channeling that aggression. We send our younglings out, allow them to get it out of their system, and come back when they're a little more mature and can handle rational discussion without instantly wanting to just resort to smashing furniture.
That's very reasonable. I assume they return more enlightened and they upkeep the peace in the city.
Yes and no. Those that do return practiced in the ways of combat and diplomacy. And of course, there are many here who will, if needed, smash that lesson into their face if they decide that they are still going to attempt to use physical persuasion.
Simple and elegant. What about? I understand this is how it works in the city, but are there any more cities like this with this sort of agreement in your empire?
I believe not. I believe we are the only one. It's been tried, unfortunately, but without the...
Why, unfortunately?
They failed.
Oh.
And usually they don't leave enough records to explain everything.
That's quite
Yeah.
sad.
How long is there till the house we will be Captain.
It will be several hours of riding from here. If you desire to feed, again, you must ask respectfully and respect their answer.
Where are the other Nosferatu?
Here and there, going about their own business.
I'm
they-
back.
Do they also walk in streets openly?
Yes, of course they do. If they so desire. There's nobody here who will tell them to use their abilities, and there's nobody here to tell them not to use their abilities.
I bet. So, okay then. Hey, you. Can you please come?
Don't be a dick.
The person approaches.
Hey man.
What are you speaking?
Greek.
He's staring at you with a dumbfounded look on his face.
So okay, so people here do not train in Greek. Okay. Okay, let's try Sanskrit. Hey, do you hear? Understand me now?
Shaking his head and he's looking around like, can somebody help me out here?
Nicodemus comes closer and, excuse me, sir or madam. My friend here would like to ask you if it would be fine for him to partake in your blood.
Oh yes,
That'd be
yes,
fine.
of course, yes.
I
Yeah.
think you're fine, Sybil.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can you tell him which spots he'd like to be bitten from?
He holds out his arm.
Okay. Let me just take
He
two
looks at your
sips from
your
him.
face and he's like, yeah, my arm, please.
Okay. Let me put my things in your arm then. 2 blood points.
As you begin taking a second one, a hand slaps you across the face
Ouch. What's the
and
deal?
makes you let go.
Okay.
It's Yom Namor, and he's shaking his finger in your face. And he speaks in Greek. No. 1.
Okay. I didn't know that. I let it go. So do I take already 2 or 1?
You take 1.
So it seems the process.
Yeah. So yeah, Nam they help the man sit down. They close his wound, clean him up, apologize profusely.
Nicodemus would like to test it as well. He looks among the crowds and he tries to find a person who seems to be very expressive. He conducts a several-minute observation, preferably picking someone who's speaking with someone else, and he tries to pick someone who's fairly easy to read emotions from.
Yeah,
would
there's
like-
it's a pretty crowded city. You can easily find somebody engaged in an animated discussion.
Afterwards, he'd like to approach this person, bow politely, and good evening. My name is Nicodemus, and I would like to partake in your blood. May I do it?
Oh, yes, you may. Thank you for asking.
And all this time he's observing this person very carefully and trying to determine whether he was how very truthful is this person in his willingness to be fed
Yeah.
from.
He says something along the lines of, "I'm happy to offer a sacrifice for the spirits of my city. You know, something along the lines of making it very religious based for the partnership and health, spiritual health of the city.
Nicodemus smiles very broadly, like keeping an eye contact, and he sort of needs this person. Does it seem like this person offers a wrist?
You are not incredibly fugly, so you can feed from his neck.
Okay. Well, doing so then, and like trying to taking just one blood point and licking the wound clean. Like if the man is weak, then trying to put him on something to sit or something.
Yeah, they sit him on a nearby piece of
very
stone
pleasant
or a
bench.
bench or something, and he takes a moment to recover, and he's fine.
Thank you most kindly. Have a pleasant evening.
How do you decide how to try and go? Are the people given a choice when they have when one of a kind desires to have one of them as their child?
Of course they're given a choice, but we have not had one turn it down yet.
Are they able to keep up their normal lives once they have been sired or
Well, usually no. They I'm not sure how long ago it was for you, but the stress and pressures of the beast usually are too much to control around their family.
I see? How unfortunate.
Cat's gonna go attempt to feed. Do any of you, the people here speak Numidian?
Maybe. You might be able to pick somebody. You're in the right region of the city for it. Would you like high or low?
Hi.
Unfortunately, you ask around and nobody speaks Numidian.
Okay. I'm going to try to indicate that I wish to feed through like hand gesture.
You can show it his fangs.
They're kind of looking at you like,
Intimidation
I don't know. This foreigner might not understand the purpose of why we feed. If nobody steps in, Moloch will step in and explain to him in Phoenician that this is a new guest, and for the health and sake of the city, would you offer up a gift of your blood to him? So yes, or to her, and yes, they allow you to feed. So, for the sake of speed, this happens as often as you guys need it to.
So while we walk, Nicodemus tries to pay attention whether they are being directed in a specific way to avoid certain parts of the city. Does it seem like our journey is artificially directed?
That is impossible to tell. You don't know the layout of the city well enough to know why he's taking the turns he's taking.
That's fair.
Alvin is actually I'm sorry.
No, you go first.
Avner is going to ask, when she goes to feed, she's going to ask if the person that she's feeding from desires to be her servant during her stay, and she desires to be.
Those are all going to be answered with no. Especially once they feel the chill of the unnatural chill of your flesh, and they look in your eyes and they see, it feels like they're falling into oblivion when they look in your eyes, and they're like, no, you can feed, but that's it. We'll offer up the sacrifice of blood, but that's it.
As they go through the city, Cat is going to be keeping an eye out for Any like decorations or symbols or what have you, that seem to be of either mystical or religious significance?
There's many. There's many smaller temples and Tophets. You guys were taken to the largest one, the main one.
Hmm.
There's many
So-
small ones here. Roadside, everything from little roadside stands to bigger building ones to everything in between. But there's nothing even approaching the size of the main one you were taking to.
So she's just gonna try and make a mental note of as many as she can.
Right. Eventually, you are all taken to the estate. About 4 or 5 months goes by. And two men on horses ride up. And one of the horses has a cart with it. And they let them through. And the men jump off and they call forth all of you guys to the central plaza of the estate where you're staying. And they are introduced as Menelaus and Eshmunamesh. Eshmunamesh. I'm sure that is very badly pronounced.
Ishrudamesh?
I'm about to copy paste it over for you guys. There.
Some strange guy. You can just say some strange guy.
Nicodemus,
Ishmael.
you instantly see that the cart has medical equipment on it. Vials. There's a lot of stuff you don't even recognize. Weird experimental stuff. But you notice there's lots of herbs. There's stuff that's labeled. This is the cart of a doctor. A very well-traveled and well-equipped doctor.
Nicodemus is all over it. What's this do? What's that for?
So it is Eshmunamesh and Menelaus both ride up. And Eshmunamesh speaks up first. Says, we apologize for the unannounced visit, but we are here because there is a spreading plague in the city, and we believe you are the cause of it.
Oh?
That hurts. That wasn't very polite.
Well, do forgive us, but there is a spreading plague involving fevers, chills, vomiting. It's killing young women and children.
Out
Oh,
of
wait a
character, does that match the symptoms of the plague back in Crete?
Yes, it does.
Will
I
I mean,
wonder if we could potentially carry that plague.
Grimace?
yeah. The thing is, we have been somewhat cursed, you see. So there's no way of dealing with this other than just throwing us out of the city.
Do we know for certain that it's a curse?
Yes, it is a curse. The only way is either sending us back to where we came from and getting rid of this curse, or there's no way the normal manners.
The other one speaks
Well-
up. He says, I have a better idea. I can stake you and bury you back under the caverns from which you came forever. Or you can allow my friend Ashunamash here the chance to examine you and perhaps cure it.
I was going to say, we may as well just let them examine us and make absolutely sure that we're the cause, first of all.
Go, please, go on.
You can-
Nicodemus,
You
you're going to
can-
be extremely interested in watching what he does. He takes blood samples from
yeah.
everybody. He
Nicodemus is
examines your
very
mouths.
quiet, but he
Um,
follows this man
yeah.
every move.
you recognize what he's doing is he's looking for anything within your mouth that could be, like, you know, if you eat everyone knows if you eat rotten meat, you might get sick. And as he's actually explaining as he goes, because he's actually kind of like Fazia in that he likes to talk about what he knows, and he's a very smart man. And he knows quite a bit of biology. So he explains that there are sometimes certain canites can be neglectful in their cleanup. And he's looking to see if the bite of one of you is spreading this.
And what conclusion do you reach?
His conclusion is that Nicodemus and Hatshepsut are infected with something. Unfortunately, he doesn't believe it's physical.
Only 2 of them?
There's 2 different plagues.
Oh, yes. We've been
Wow.
dabbling into.
2 plagues.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And Menelaus speaks up and he says, I'm led to understand that you guys came from Crete.
Yes.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Did you go down in the caverns underneath there?
Yes.
Did you mess with the sacred protections?
In fact, that you mean those balls? Yes.
Seem to know a lot about it.
More than we could find, more information than we could have found at the island.
I helped the mortal witches design this protections. They sacrificed their lives to seal the sicknesses within those caves. Didn't you wonder about the rock falls and why they were so well sealed off?
No.
Now we know why.
Of course we wondered. But if you find something that's sealed off, obviously it attracts, it attracts attention.
It
Why
wasn't
not leave
really.
a warning sign?
Yeah, well, it wasn't also kept really good hidden, so that's the thing.
Oh, really? How did you find out about it?
Well, you know, there's this well, you enter the well, and boom, you are in the cave.
And I am led to assume you just jumped in on a whim?
There were spirits coalescing around the well.
So you use supernatural powers.
It's
Not
less
necessary.
a power and more something that I've just able to do.
Would a normal human have been able to sense them?
No. It is supernatural, certainly.
Yes. So, do not feed me a line, Nosferatu, that it is well hidden, or that it was easy to find. Fortunately, the curse appears to have weakened significantly. The plague will soon burn itself out, and I know how to burn the curse out of your teeth. He pulls something out of his jacket and he says, "This is going to be nasty and very vile, and I apologize in advance for this. But you both need to drink this. You guys might want to hold on to them, because it's not going to be pleasant."
What are you giving us?
Oh,
I think there are more stronger individuals here.
so we might need to restrain them.
What about the mortals? Was the plague spread through them?
It will burn
No,
itself
no,
out
no.
eventually, as all plagues do.
Is there a way we can somehow minimize the losses?
Quarantine them off, allow it to run its course.
What about suppress the symptoms?
All that can be done is being done. As Shunamesh has been extremely busy helping with that.
I assume every bases are covered and I cannot be of any assistance.
I'll
Very
now
well.
go to try to help pull them down.
Yeah,
yeah.
Lovey and I will do the same.
Yeah, they get behind you guys. They put you in the full Nelson, headlock, lock on, and your arms are free enough. You down the vials. It's nasty. It's disgusting. It is definitely not blood. It tastes as bad as anything has ever tasted since you began as a fledgling. And Nicodemus and Hatshepsut, you both immediately start feeling the urge to vomit, and it burns like fire. Just and they begin to puke, and you're holding them over. They're too busy feeling the pain to see what's happening, but it looks like black nastiness just comes up and hits the ground and starts smoking and steaming, and it evaporates over the course of a few seconds into the air.
That
Yeah.
was an experience.
You guys did both take damage, but for this, it doesn't really matter. It was literally physically damaging to do this to you.
I suppose the question that arises is, why were we the only ones affected?
Perhaps it is because we were investigated the plague.
I don't know. I wasn't down there with you. Magic can be unpredictable.
Indeed.
Out of character, I do wonder if it had something to do with that symbol down in there.
Out of character, no. Had nothing to do with that. Had to do with the fact that each location where you guys mess with the bowl could get one person. And that just happened to be where remember what I had you guys roll a couple of random dice?
Trouble this has caused you and your city.
Oh, nothing that cannot be overcome. In any case, now that we have taken care of this level of business, we'll be visiting with you for a few nights. So, they have their visit. Eventually, 13 years pass. You guys all get 5 experience points. They hold to their word. Nobody's ever damaged. Nobody's attacked. You are all taken 1 or 2 at a time into the city. You get news. You hear the news get filtered in over the years. In about 4 or 5 years after you're captured, Rome retakes Sicily. The tide of war begins to turn, especially in Hispania. In 203, 11 years after you were taken, Rome lands in Africa. By this point, it's all but certain that Rome is going to win. It's just a matter of time.
Suckers, we will fucking kill you and rape your woman.
Calm down, Sybil. Calm down.
Burn them all to the rocks, these vile creatures. Their bloodlines will be cursed and it will be buried under the ground only to be cleansed by the fire.
So, 202 BC, a few dozen miles outside of Carthage. In fact, from your vantage point on the estate, you can actually just barely see some smoke from the side of the battle.
Fucking Carthage.
Scipio Africanus defeats Hannibal Barca. Hannibal returns to Carthage and forces a peace conference. And although he's forced to apologize for this later, he bodily hauls out of the room any Carthaginian Senate member who objects to the peace. He physically forces them to bow to Rome and say, "You win, we're sorry." So he literally hauls anyone out who says, "I'm not doing this." He goes, "Yeah, you are, and I'm going to make sure it's unanimous by removing anybody who says otherwise."
Hannibal is doing that?
Yes.
Interesting. Wasn't he true to the Rome guy?
It's a
Hannibal
political
Barca, the
maneuver.
mortal general, the
Yeah.
Carthaginian general.
Wasn't he like hating Rome pretty
He's
hardcore?
not dumb, you know.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
But he also knows that if they don't capitulate now, Rome's not going to stop.
Understand. I have no problem with it.
They cut the losses.
I thought the guy was
Like-
like, I don't know, some sort of Hitler.
So no, basically he comes and he goes, look, I told you guys for 10 years, more than 10 years, I needed help, I needed reinforcements and money, and you guys said no, you're doing fine, we're fine here, you don't need anything, you're doing okay. It's finally come back to bite you in the ass, and now I'm telling you that if you don't surrender now, Rome will destroy us all. And more people still stood up and said, no, it's fine. We can just buy our way out of it. He goes, oh, excuse me for a minute, beats the shit out of them, hauls them out of the Senate chamber, kicks them out on the street, comes back in and he says, does anybody else think that we're going to be okay if we keep fighting? And after 2 or 3 times of that, they all say, you know what? You're right. We surrender. So, a delegation of Canaanites comes to the physical gates of Carthage. You are all brought out to watch slightly from a distance. You see Troil itself out there. You see Moloch, Baal-Hadad. Several other people, Canaanites of the city, including somebody who looks like an albino. On the Roman side, you see Artemis, Bester, the single most gracious, cinematic-looking woman you've ever seen, Arakel of the Toreador.
This cool as fucking shit.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Lysander, and Alcaeus, the Prince of Syracuse.
Wait, there's no Camille?
Nope, he doesn't leave Rome.
No way. Why would he?
Can't you think about it? Troile is there, but not Camille is not even saying like, I'm not leaving Rome. Oof, it should like hit to the.
Yeah. No, this is a slap in the face because Camilla doesn't have to leave Rome. This is a statement of superiority. Look at the people who will go do my bidding. Look at the ones who are willing to be my designate. Yes. Look at how superior I am. And this is a statement, an undeniable statement of power.
Yeah.
I wonder if we can give a finger to Troile while walking by.
Yes, you could.
Well,
That wouldn't be advisable,
would
but
you?
could.
the fact that Eric
could,
is
but would
here is probably that they're taking this seriously nonetheless. I mean,
Yep.
they're dealing with Troy.
A third gen to deal with a third gen.
Yeah. But still, if we fucking this up by just giving a finger to Troile would be hilarious. Like.
So, this negotiation goes on actually for a couple of nights, and I'm going to stop here to tell you a little bit about the Yasmite you've been imprisoned with, Goldar Shazi. He's very young, still more brown than black. He seems very soft-hearted. He's very knowledgeable. He has a Gould Falcon. He's an animal. He likes animals. He's an animal trainer for hobby. Him and Nicodemus get along really well. He's all about learning new stuff. And again, as I said, he actually comes across as kind of a pushover, a little soft. He hasn't had a lot of experience to toughen him up. He hasn't seen a lot of nasty stuff like you guys have. And he goes back to Rome with you. And you guys aren't the only prisoners. There are many prisoners of war, many of the Malkavians and Cappadocians who had been captured and kept prisoner with the Carthaginian army are released. And eventually, you are too. You are all led off to the Roman encampment, where Artemis is waiting for you.
Suffer. Finally. Ah, finally we are out of that shithole.
You seem to have changed your tone about them ever since this
Oh,
encounter at sea.
of course, the fuckers.
Anyway,
I wrecked my ass to save us from
It's-
this.
it is a pleasure to be back at last.
Mm.
Out of character, we're talking to Artemis, yeah?
Yes.
This is a pleasure. Last senator.
She
Yes,
kisses
thank you.
everybody on the cheek as you come in. She hugs everybody. She even shakes hands with Sybil, and says, "Shalmoth told me to expect you. Welcome."
Thank you for getting us out.
Thank you. Oof. You are literally my savior.
Well, we shall be sailing back to Rome in luxury, style, feasting and celebration in the city. Rewards await you all.
We are not burning the city while at the gates.
No. The army itself is several days behind us. We do not believe there is anything to gain here. Well, I believe there is something to gain here, but the council as a whole has overridden my decision.
What do you believe there is to gain?
Does council know Carthage inhabits millions of people who knows the existence of vampires?
They are fully aware of the
Of
situation,
course they do.
and yet they still believe letting it survive is the best choice.
And talk about silence of the blood.
Why do you think it stands? I mean, they could threaten us in the future.
No, but if you burn the city in whole, nobody can threat you, don't you think?
Right now,
Carth-
the mortal government cannot be persuaded to finish the city here. They simply want to put things back in order.
I suspect we will have little to fear for a long time.
Besides, take the
We have-
long view. We have eternity to finish them off.
They failed twice already in their warring campaigns.
Yeah, now is a good time for a break, guys. We're gonna take a quick break here and come back in about 15 minutes.
Cool.
All right, guys, welcome back. So, you are on your way back to Rome. You have, in your long absence, Artemis explains everything that's happened. The alliance that you guys helped to build has been a complete success. They blunted Mithras and his chosen faction. He's constantly been bogged down by shifting alliances and infighting. He can never really get stuff concentrated. Unfortunately, in your long absence, she has been unable to hold on to all of your resources. You mechanically lose 2 points of influence, 2 points of contacts, and any Gould retainers that were left back in Rome.
Oh shit. So, fuck. Veritone and the child that I was grooming are
Yeah.
dead.
The chowder you were grooming is actually still alive. She just started aging as soon as you stopped ghouling her. So if you meet her again, she'll be in her 30s. Veriton is dead.
Question, does this affect her?
What about heads?
Yes, because
Oh.
it's going to affect your herd because you weren't there to preach anymore. And keep it up.
What about his chiller? No, the girl she embraced.
We don't know what happened. We don't really know where she is now.
Not just reminding that she exists, though.
The
So-
the
All
bar
this is dead.
the barley have her somewhere. It's not fine, but that's the best word I can use.
Oof, at least I wasn't in Rome, so I have my two background. That's it, two background existing.
So resources are done by 2, and contacts are being done by 2, and influence are done by 2, right? And you said retainers? Does it...
Not resources, influence, contacts, and retainers. She
Okay,
actually managed to hold on to your domains. If you had domain, she held on to your money. So your resources are good, and your physical property is good.
I have my goal listed as an ally, and also Abinadab promised to take care of it.
Then he's fine. Since you, I mean, he'll be bloodbound to Abinadab now. That's gonna be hard to break, but we'll deal with it. So he is still. You don't lose him since you took care to do that.
Poor Amulius.
Abina prepares a funeral for Veritum.
Yeah, actually, I think that lady's gonna be in her 40s now. But yeah. So, the whole city is basically in a celebration. It is jam-packed. Huge party going on. It's been partying for a couple of weeks now, really.
Well, it's a
The
celebration.
yeah, a huge party. You guys are allowed to rest, feed, take stock of what you have back going on, and eventually the influential kindred of the city, along with anyone he has so chosen, is all brought to the main Elysium. And it's pretty well packed inside the hidden chambers. They have actually taken you guys, if you scroll all the way to the right, into the private gymnasium, the hidden gymnasium. And the prince takes each of you aside, except for Sybil, and asks each of you, and you're free to PM this to me. If you could pick a reward, what do you want? Within his power to give, what do you want?
And have you been informed what the status of the alliance, like who survived, who died?
There's actually been very little physical fighting of the Alliance. Basically, they went back to their home territories and used their influence to keep the mortal governments from uniting behind any one person.
Okay, so Abina is going to talk about Labrus, and she's going to request for him to be given the status of a citizen of Rome.
Which one?
Librus.
Libris.
The
Oh, okay. Yep. He
Who's Librus?
promises he'll do that.
she thanks him.
Librus?
Yes.
Yeah, the Bruja.
Nicodemus Labiana Hatshepsut, what do you want?
Very good question.
I know what area I want, but the question is how to specifically word it.
This is like 4 soldiers standing, and then there's this general with medallion.
All right.
It's taking time for you guys to decide.
Yeah, you guys.
I'm
Yeah.
typing PMs.
You're typing up PM.
Three.
All right. Labiana, PM or voice?
Um,
Private
Alright,
sanctuary.
If you don't know, you can just say, you know, I'll just ask for a favor later.
yeah, I guess that's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Is it like Camille's power to provide dead corpses for for the rest of Eternal Senate existence? I don't know. Is it in Camille's power to do that?
I mean, he can provide a steady supply.
Of corpses.
Yeah,
I mean, you know, like,
that's actually relatively easy.
yeah. I
Mm.
mean, even when they're trying to be more discreet, you know, sometimes those dinner parties will leave waste that needs to be cleared.
All right. How about you, Hatshepsut?
Access to mystical lore. That I know that that's a general area I want to go in. What I'm thinking is, how do I phrase this? Like, access to like someone's libraries, or
Blood sorcery.
I got it.
Access.
I got it. I understand. All right, just waiting on Nicodemus to finalize what he's got. So while he's typing that up, everybody's called in. He's giving out. The way he phrases it is, each of you is recognized as having contributed to the survival of all Canaanites and to the survival of the Eternal Senate. And such status is to be recognized in perpetuity. So you all gain a dot of status.
Not me, I presume.
Yes, you too.
you may have joined halfway through, but you still provided immense assistance.
Yep.
Exactly.
He says Sybil is recognized as a Canaanite of value to Rome and is therefore free to come and leave at her own will. For Hatshepsut, for valued assistance, it is the opinion of the first citizen that she shall be allowed access to the libraries of such elder kindred as can provide such things. However, she will also be expected to abide by their rules and restrictions on access to any such items as are in their libraries.
Of course.
For Labiena, in recognition, we understand that sometimes it can be difficult to come up with a need or want. So when she is ready, she will meet with us in private, and we will grant her a boon as worthy of her accomplishments.
Thank you.
And for Nicodemus, we grant him domain over the college Collegium Medicus, equal to the physical placement and the head of the Collegium. let none feed there. Let none damage his domain. And let all here recognize this fact. He goes on to award others. He awards Ihamus domain over his section of the river, his docks, and equal to 20 paces from the borders of his land. I trust that satisfies everyone.
Of course. First.
Does greatly, First Citizen.
It does.
Deeply so, my prince.
Yes, yes.
All right. I'm going to give you the downtime for the very large time skip now. I'm going to give you the experience points for that now. 25 experience.
It's going to be a large time skip.
How many years are we talking about here?
50.
And
So the next little bit, we're going to be skipping over a lot of time here and there. So you're getting all that XP now.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, can I remember when, I can't remember exactly when Barbiena lost that dot of appearance, because I'm trying to figure out when she'll need to drop that
It
final
is.
dot.
You're getting pretty close. It's not quite there yet. By the time we hit the last Punic War, then it will be time.
Yeah, getting.
Yeah.
So,
If we are talking about like 50 years here.
Yeah. Like I said, next couple of we're going to be skipping over sections, just kind of little jumps.
Okay,
Getting my fortitude up to 3.
So, I mean, yeah. What's my situation with finding the Nosferatu then?
Oh,
That's the
very
thing.
easy.
Do I? Well, yeah. I don't know what my relationship standing is considering that time skip, but well. I would also like to have some private speech with Artemis at earliest moment I came to Rome.
So, eventually, you guys go out, you satisfy your new domain, you ghoul whoever you need to ghoul. Buying backgrounds with these experience points, you can do so. Your first dot in a background is 1 experience, and then each current rating times 2 after that. And I would like you to PM me every dot of background that you buy with experience, so I know I have to keep track of something.
I'm just thinking, given that in terms of backgrounds there's been something of a bit of a almost a board wipe, it might be worth looking the currently pulling together for looking into Paul's backgrounds now.
particularly for resource.
Didn't we
But-
have this cult idea?
Yes.
That's a neat site for old background.
Oh, we're definitely free to discuss that. Basically, you're looking at you need a background point in domain for a physical location. If each of you contribute 1 point, that will give you a location, a dot of herd, a dot of contacts, a dot of resources, a dot of, let's see, either contacts or another dot of domain for larger area. So 2 points of contacts or 2 points of domain, a dot of resources, a dot of herd, and what did I say else? Should be 5 total there.
Yeah, so if all of us gives 1 experience point, that seems fair. I can point off my total for that.
Absolutely.
I can as well.
That works for me.
Yeah, doing the same.
All right.
So it just means we lose 1 XP.
Yep.
With the rest, after giving 1 experience point, I would like to get my obfuscate to 4 and animalism to 4, which is in total 30 experience points.
Well, if you have the XP to spend, you can spend it.
Yep. So I have 32 right now.
I will need some time to think about my spendings.
That's okay. We are not in a hurry.
A lot of stuff to consider.
Would I be able to try to, now that I have Libris as assistant home, try to convince him to come to Rome and try to seduce?
You're gonna find seduction nearly impossible.
No, yeah, not. I'm not saying seduction is in seduction. I mean seduction like trying to establish a relationship with him, like trying to make him into a love or something like.
He is more than willing to come to Rome. He is absolutely willing.
I'm trying to make him the position that Alexius occupied pretty much.
He's willing to come to Rome. He's willing to talk with everybody. It's just that you're going to find his logic to be really difficult to penetrate. But I will add him to my list of stuff to do during the downtime period. So, group call. We have 1 point domain physical, 1 point herd, 1 point contacts, 1 point resources. And did you want to go with the second point of contacts or second point of domain? I'm going to have Hatshepsut tell me that because she's kind of heading this up.
Sorry, what was that? I was fiddling with.
You want a second point of domain or a second point of contacts?
Let's go with contacts.
Okay. Any of you guys can use these points, herd, contacts, resources, once per session. But only one person can use that.
Okay. Do we have domain too? Sorry, do we have domain in
it's a group.
shared background?
It's a shared group. So if you are like, I need to hold a meeting with somebody, I'm going to use the domain to hold the meeting here.
Okay.
Am I able to buy Libris as an ally?
Not just yet. I think that's something we're going to have to do in character.
Okay.
But so something I'm curious. Are we going to still stick with current time, or are we going to jump right now after continuing?
We're jumping
the
right
session,
now.
Oh, okay. So wait, can I say a few stuff I did after coming to Rome, so you can know it?
Send it to me in a note, please. I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Because I had some few ideas to do,
Yeah.
but considering we time skipped.
All right, we're going to start typing those up for me. I'd appreciate it. We're going to skip forward a couple of years to 198 BC. Mithras enters Rome.
How does that look? Are there big fanfares? Or
Um,
just enters like
there
a
it
regular
is.
guy?
Camillus lets everyone know that you should attend Elysium tonight.
And also, during that time, I get the permission to embrace the girl.
That's something you would have had to ask for as part of the boon.
Okay.
And he will grant that. I actually, honestly, I kind of thought that would have been your ask of, I want to embrace a chick. Sure. Yes.
Yeah, I was trying to first fulfill my promise to Libras about him having a safe place in Rome. So yeah, I'm going to embrace her.
Okay, you have a Childa. This Childa is approximately 48 years old. And I assume you reestablish the blood bond on her, as your sire
Yes.
does to you.
Yes, definitely.
Alright. You're going to mark that down as a vassal.
Okay.
Alright. So Camillus 198 asks, make sure all of you know, you should attend the Elysium tonight. I assume you've all seen the picture of Mithras and his Childa Crethius.
Yeah,
Should
I
be
think so.
guy.
Right. So you're all inside the gymnasium because a lot of the kindred that came never left Rome. The city has gotten a ton of money, a ton of slaves. The regions of Greece, Rome has been steadily conquering more and more Greece. Money, food, and people have just been flowing into Rome. And Mithras comes in. He comes in wearing Greek hoplite armor. And his Childa Crethius is simply wearing a typical chiton Greek gown. And the prince says to all of you that Elder Mithras is a prince among us, a most honored guest, and all streets are open to him. Only I may overrule his word in Rome. Only my word is more here, and the Eternal Senate may only overrule him with a united voice, excluding his own personal representative. He has placed his Childa Crethius on the Eternal Senate, a decision we have greeted with acclaim. About a year goes by. Titus Quinctius Flaminius crushes Philip V of Macedonia, finishes the war. Another consul divides Hispania into Hispania Ulterior and Hispania Sisterior, so inner and outer. At this point, Mithras approaches all of you. And he offers to help you retrieve Democritus in return for a major boon later. At this point, Philip V has signed a treaty to Rome in terms of modern day dollars. He owes Rome over $1 billion in war indemnity for a city-state. That's a crushing, absolutely crushing fine. So Mithras approaches you and offers to help you retrieve Democritus for a major boon.
Retrieve, you mean capture him?
Yes, and bring back to Rome.
Major boon by Eternal Senate or us, like
You,
country?
personally. You as a group.
Okay.
So this is a private offer.
Hmm.
So
Like-
why does Mitras think we are worthy of this offer?
Why do you think you're worthy of the offer?
Why would I be interested in that?
Again, how many times did he slip through your hands?
We will need some time to consider this, but
Decide quickly.
whatever we
I have things to do.
Okay, out of character. Do we want to take it out of character?
I do not think it's very wise. I mean, besides revenge, why else would you go after him? And would the revenge
He's
will
a
be worth a
blight
measure?
he's a blight upon the world, but Nicodemus doesn't really feel that much enticed to go after him.
Did that guy do anything to Sybil?
So it's sounding like a no out of character. Okay, so we'll just like have a moment, just quickly exchanging some words and say, we greatly appreciate your offer, Lord Mithras, but we must decline.
What do you know about Democritus? Like, what do you know what to be his generation?
I think we should ask that before declining the offer.
Well, the things you should be considering. How much trouble did he give you guys that you all were under the assumption that he was behind the mess in Missolonghi? You're under the assumption that he was working with Corinth?
This is true.
And he
I guess the
probably
key
has
word here is
started making this
assumption.
personal.
Yep.
Because
And
to his affairs.
if you will think back to 220 BC, approximately 25 years ago,
I heard he is working with Mithras. I see missionary. You also heard that he was also involved in this affair in Apollo.
that's right. He
Apollonia.
about 20 years ago, he tried to have a Nosferatu murder you.
In that case, no, and
You
Maybe
guys all
we
remember
should.
that, right?
out of character, I forgot.
Was
Mhm.
it implied
Actually,
that,
so did I.
that Democritus worked for Mithras at some point?
It was implied that he worked for Mithras, yes. But now Mithras is welcomed as a honored elder in the city, and he has extended an offer to you.
I don't like this. This is like sudden switching of sides, and suddenly we get this Democritus, an ex-agent of our
Yes.
benefactor, on a plate.
How do we know he's not
Reeks.
setting this up?
Out of character, I'm tempted to take it just to see what will happen.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, same, but do not think to be a wise idea.
Nope, it's not a wise idea. We should just
No.
decline it.
I mean,
Say, as characters though,
to
what
be
would
fair,
you do?
wisdom. How many times did we try touching that glyph?
Yeah, but, yeah, but
To be
In
honest,
character.
if that offer came from anyone but Mithras, it would probably be more suitable to be considered.
Then,
But
do we even know what Democritus is doing now?
I mean, do we even care what Democritus is doing? There's like thousands of kindred.
like setting up another Nosferatu to try and kill us. Yeah, we do care, but do we care enough to like play into this?
I remember
sort of
that
offer.
guy. I remember that guy did nothing to Sybil, so I don't think she has any personal feelings about owning this boon for someone who did nothing to her.
Do you know how much of a generation Democritus?
Democritus is a 5th generation kindred.
Out of game generation.
Yes, that makes the offer more tempting if we can convince Mithras to let us have him.
Oh, he won't let you Diablerize him. That won't happen.
He won't let us.
Yeah, but then we still have the matter of trying to capture him. He's a 5th gen and we're what,
That's why I
6th,
believe.
7th?
Okay, it sounds like we're still turning the offer down. So we turn it down whilst making clear that we are very grateful for the offer.
I mean, we have to also
Well,
out of
he's fine with that. That's your choice, guys.
say that 5th or generation of characters will be not playable.
I mean, how else then?
Oh, so if we lower the generation, we are not able to play the character.
I believe-
No, but
well,
he
I'm
won't.
not
He won't let you. He will not let you Diablerize another
Yeah.
creature.
It's a moot point because Mithras wouldn't let it happen, and Mithras isn't the kind of person you brush off.
But there's something to be aware for the future. We cannot lower generation.
Yes, you can. I never said you couldn't.
But there will be a cost, right? You say there will be a cost.
There is a cost to it.
We can't play our characters anymore if we go beyond level 6th generation. So
Well,
if we,
Well, if
Look.
you're 6th generation, it's significantly easier to Diablo 5th gen.
Anyway,
Yeah.
this is all besides the point. We can talk about that aspect later, but for now, it seems like it's still going to be a no.
That's okay. All right. 196. Titus Quintius Flaminius travels to Corinth and proclaims that Greeks are free and should be governed by their own laws. At this point, there is an opportunity. Do you guys want to go to Corinth?
opportunity of what?
The Roman army's in Corinth.
We'll have. I say we should go. Take a look. See.
Are there any kindred already going with these armies?
Yes, there are. None of true consequence.
What do our mentors have to say about this? Is it a good time to visit Corinth and unravel the weird mysteries that surround it?
You've had enough time to solidify your gains. Artemis is okay with it if you want to go. This isn't immediately after you came back, so, like I said, you have solidified your domains, you've solidified your new ghouls. There's no reason for you not to be able to leave the city for a bit.
We should, however, make precautions in case we find ourselves unable to return again. We do not want to lose our new contacts, our new code. I might be, perhaps my vassal could be taking care of it, my child.
Would you have me or your sire do it? This is Artemis speaking.
She's asking that too.
Yeah,
Alright.
to Albina, you asked who would take care of your children. Artemis says, "Would you like me or would you like your sire?"
Um, I look. No, no, I say that my child could be taking care of the cult, but um, I believe there's going to let it. I believe my sires be the one to who's has responsibility to the Falcon. I do not wish. I do not wish to burden you, even more too much already, and they.
Well, yes, your sire could look after uh, your gains here in the city. That's what they're here for, after all.
Artemis will remember that.
Sorry, what?
No,
Said
just
your
joking.
children could take care of your stuff in the city. That's what they're for.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. My child will take care of that.
How about the rest of you
Sparta?
guys? Would you like to do it or not?
Okay, so my question was that last time we checked, Corinth, everyone we spoke to was that don't go near Corinth, don't go to Corinth, and suddenly there's this change in the mood. What has altered? What changed?
The fact that you have an occupying army at the city.
Yeah.
So
That alone.
basically, if things go tits up, we have backup.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What would Nicodemus?
Let me put it to you this way: nobody's telling you to do this. This is an opportunity if you want to take advantage of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like staying in Rome and contributing to Rome will be better than going to Corinth and taking revenge from someone.
We know that
No,
Corinth
it's not
is
about
a.
Well,
We know that Corinth is
Honestly,
a ally. It's a seat of power.
Balai is like, how to say it, I know that they are the greater danger or something, so it doesn't have to be us who deals with them. Maybe some other kindred might be just doing it for us right now.
I feel like when we have the opportunity, since we have the opportunity, we should go there. I, at least, would like to look around, see if there's any leads to follow on my accidental embrace.
Yes.
Wait,
Balai-
you have
the
you embrace someone? What?
It's complicated.
Shit. We are saying this in front of Artemis, right, by the way? We just did that, right, Chris? Because we were talking with Artemis.
Oh yeah, she knows the whole story.
Okay. Wow, no, that was a blown up.
Though it is likely too late to really do much about it, I do feel a responsibility to at least try and determine what happened.
But we have to consider this too, guys. Okay, we are not the smartest, only smartest people in this universe. I think that those Balais, I think they would presume the upcoming danger of Rome marching them, and I think if this change in mood happening so fast, I also believe there is a reason to it that those kindreds are already left the city. So we might be just tailing something already out of our grasp, and putting effort to doing it might be just lose of time, while we can stay here and in Rome and contribute, as I say, to the cause and help our master.
We've spent plenty of time. We've spent plenty of time aiding Rome. A break in activity is sometimes necessary to keep the mind flexible.
If the Balai have already fled, then the cities against us. We can feast while the army conquers it, and we have the first pick of all the loot and the slaves.
I mean, I think the army can handle itself pretty good.
Here are some more things to consider. Um, the Balai are probably long left, but perhaps they've left something behind that we can still find. It's been their seat for a while, as we suspect or believe. Uh, Furthermore, our good friend still still has vengeance claims towards us, and who knows, we might run into her, and it may not be so easy to get out of it alive.
Perhaps might be wise to invite laborers. He knows of her. He might be, if there is any trace that he can use, anything that can be used as a proof of her true allegiance, he might be able to identify it.
Oh, I'm more worried about the Acadian. She seems to be an impulsive sort. I doubt Libras knows her.
Perhaps, but then he's going to be useful as a muscle against her.
Let's see. How long until we would get there, and how long until the armies of Rome show up there? Do we have an ample time to prepare?
Oh yeah, plenty. You guys all knew this was coming. This wasn't some secret thing. So you all saw it. It was all you all saw it happening.
I think if we come prepared and and agree to not do any foolish stuff, to not let our guard down, I think this opportunity is a good one to take.
Yeah, it's the same here.
I say we go.
So, okay, if the greater vote is like that, but tell me again openly, what is the purpose of going to Corinth?
Trying to find some proofs that Balai do exist, and they pull the strings from the shadows of the Greek city-states.
And we wish to use that information for
to uproot by influence, of course.
and we want that to be consecutive to what?
The barley are everyone's problem.
Look, if you
okay.
cannot see the bigger picture of this, you're not a real Nosferatu, and I'm going to tell you what the consequences are there. We have hints through that lead us to believe that Balai are behind the conflict. Perhaps they are influencing Carthaginian decisions. Perhaps they're influencing most of the strife in the Greek city-states. And if we can find more proofs, this will perhaps serve to create more unified front against them. Perhaps this will even lead to the hostilities between Carthage and Rome. But wait, I forgot. You want them destroyed regardless.
Right. Now, a question. Considering you're the only Salura I've been close to, I only know the gossips about the warrior Salubri generally, literally destroying the soil where the Belli stepped on. Mistress, you definitely know much more than that, but do you think that if we prove that Bella has been in Corinth and influenced the politics, are they just going to, wipe the city from the existence? The Celebre warriors, I mean.
A more subtle approach would be needed, but
yes,
nonetheless.
Wait, let the mistress speak.
I believe Canite should take care of a Canite problem. Also, if you do decide to go, and you should so happen to come across Evarchus, my cousin, I would greatly appreciate you bringing him before me unharmed.
Do you think he might be hostile?
I surely could not tell you. I have not heard from him in many years, ever since his childa went rogue. I do not know if he is part of it, or if he has been taken victim by it.
I assume he's not the prince of the city.
He is the prince of the city.
Ah, that's an interesting fact. Don't we have something about that fact, friends?
Do we?
She said grandchild, right?
No, Prince Evarchus of Corinth.
Artemis's cousin, which his
Cousin.
his child went rogue. And didn't we had the? And now this might be out of character conversation we made earlier. I'm not sure, but didn't we make the theory of that the both of them is being Bali and the child is the woman with name starting with D, being there in Corinth, killing my old character Icarus, right? It was she who killed Icarus. And didn't we make the theory of her being the child of the prince of the Corinth, and that they are both being Bali?
Well, let's put it this way. The names match up. That's all the proof you have right now, is that the names match up.
Right, so we have that theory, right?
Yeah.
And we made the theory in character, talked about it.
Yes.
Okay, so I won't be making a meta game if I tell this theory to Artemis right now.
No, that'll be fine. Yep.
Okay, so, well, you see, Mr. I know this is a very broad thing I will say right now. This is just a theory, only because we saw a little bit connection. And I think it's enough to take it as a possibility in greater picture. You see this woman, the Bali woman who's been problem before to my coterie, our coterie, she's the child of the Prince of Corinth. And now you are telling us that your cousin is the Prince of Corinth. And we had some assumptions that both of them is actually involved in Bali matters, and therefore they are rather easily doing their shims without much problems and resistance in the city itself.
She gets this really dark look on her face. And she looks you dead straight in the eye with this expression on her face of restrained murder. And she says, "You will not dare insult my cousin in such a manner ever again. Am I understood?"
Yes, yes, of course.
Now, as for the rest of you, we have known that it's possible his childa was associating with... What's the name of the man who killed your own brother, Nicodemus? Sharpia? Something?
Nicodemus in... Sorry. Nicodemus in turn gets this dark look upon his face, and it's quite visible actually. And it's not it's not only because the name is mentioned, it's because she seems to forget about it, and yet they spoke about it in length, in specific way.
It's Sharpur,
And
right?
he-
Sharpur of Parthia. That's it.
Yes.
Yes. If you will recall, and Sybil, you weren't there. Many years ago, approximately 45 years ago, maybe give or take a little bit, my own childa was destroyed, devoured by Sharpur of Parthia in front of your own eyes. Do you remember this?
We all do.
Quite vividly.
Do you recall the circumstances that sent you into the pit, into that chasm.
Which chasm is she? Referring to?
The metaphorical chasm,
Oh,
the
okay.
situation.
Indeed, we're going to a diplomatic conference in which your child was the main actor.
And do you recall why I sent you with my child?
Nicodemus would remember.
If you don't, let me refresh your memory. Because my cousin Evarchus wrote me and asked me to have somebody talk to his childa, Christina, who had taken refuge in that city. So, yes, Sybil, the connection has been made many years ago. We have simply been unable to do anything about it until now. The problem is that the exact extent of the corruption is unclear. We do not know if my cousin is involved. We do not know if his childa isn't fully involved or if it's some cruel prank. Perhaps she may be saved. Perhaps we must kill her. Perhaps his other children are involved. Perhaps not. This merits time and investigation and effort. Something we have had in short supply up until now. Yet I will not force any of you to do that.
We can either just sit and the spider web to envelop us and strip more of our resources and people we care about to be taken by them, or we can act.
To do this to you, for you, Mr. Zartemis, would be the greatest pleasure and honor.
Understand, I'm not angry with any of you about this. You spent a long time imprisoned in Carthage, and while your efforts were rewarded, you should also be allowed time to rest and enjoy your victory. And a few short years may honestly not have been enough.
We have a responsibility to you. We are your clients. To do this for you is only right. It's what is expected and our duty.
I am willing to go.
And you have also done much for us.
You have to go?
So- It's only right that we go there and try to learn much as we can and bring it back.
Good. Then we shall provide you with all equipment and get you there.
And if I may I also make a request?
Yes, go on.
I understand that the Brewhead have wronged you in the past, and that Carthage is a stain upon the earth, but could the destruction of the city be avoided? Could I count on you to voice opposition to its destruction in the Eternal Senate?
My objection to Carthage is with the Canaanites that inhabit it. I care not for its mortal populace or its politics. Its fate rests with its Canaanite masters. They shall be the ones to decide, not me.
She nods the understanding.
Anyway, I believe we are set on our course. It would not do to tarry too much longer. There are preparations to be made in all.
Absolutely.
Okay. Guys, I am going to finish game here tonight.
Okay.
On top of all the downtime XP, everybody gets 1 for tonight. I know I'm kind of stingy with it, but I hope these downtime chunks make up for that.
Oh, that's fine. It was more like a setting up the scene, the bigger scene session anyway.
Yeah.
Mm.
I know there wasn't a lot of big time action and
I
stuff
mean,
like that today, but
we had plenty of that last week.
so
We did.
yeah.
How much time in days?
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for listening to episode 47 of All Roads Lead to Rome, the Vampire the Masquerade Dark Ages game. As you heard, tonight is not action-packed and filled with stuff, but it was more of a setup game. We're about to do a bunch of time skips and take care of some unfinished business. So, once again, thank you all for listening. Hope we can look forward to continuing to provide you with some great entertainment, and have a great evening.